58 people so far, 59 people, some reports, dead in Las Vegas. Hundreds injured. Numbers floating between 400 and 500. I mean, it's a massacre. It's just an absolute massacre. This guy was found to have 10 weapons of war in his hotel room, just, kicked out the windows and just shot the place up. And so Republican Senator Pat Roberts tweets out, "God bless the victims of the terrible and senseless shooting in Las Vegas." But Pat Roberts votes against gun control. Senator Richard Shelby tweets out, "Praying for the families, the victims and the families of the victims involved in the tragic Las Vegas shooting. Thankful to the brave first responders." Yet Richard Shelby voted against any kind of rational gun control, limits on clips. I mean, things that would still be just fine within the consideration of the Heller decision. The limits on the size of magazines and on the just the whole spectrum of weapons of war, assault weapons. Senator Orrin Hatch woke up this morning to a horrifying news out of Vegas, shocking and senseless. God bless the victims and their families. Well, thank you, Senator Hatch. Stop voting to put these kind of crazed weapons in the hands of these kinds of people. Marco Rubio this morning, "I'm praying for all the victims, their families, and our first responders in the Las Vegas Mandalay Bay shooting," says Marco Rubio. Then why do you vote to allow these kind of weapons to continue to be on our streets? I mean, this is not rocket science. This is very, very straightforward stuff. And remember back in February when Trump became president, and, well, actually, remember back when Newtown happened in Connecticut? I'm not talking about the Alex Jones saying that it was a false flag operation, although they're probably already saying that about Vegas right now. I'm talking about when President Obama tried to pass any kind of reasonable gun control legislation through Congress, and the Republicans absolutely obstructed all of it. And the NRA, they were saying, "Hey, it's, he got a bunch of dead kids. It's too soon to talk about gun control." Right? But President Obama did do something. He was able administratively, he didn't, it didn't require Congress to do this. He was able administratively, as the head of the executive branch, to pass a rule that would cause the Social Security Administration to share with the FBI's National Instant Criminal Background Check System the names of people who are on Social Security disability because of mental illness. Now, this does not expose those names to the public. This is sharing them with the FBI, so that people who are so severely mentally disabled that they're living on Social Security disability for their mental illness could not buy weapons. Obama did that in response to Newtown. It was all he could do, right? Congress would not go along with assault weapons bans or anything. So he passed that rule. And guess what the Republicans did on February 2nd? They said, no, we've got to get rid of this rule. There were 75,000 people who were so mentally disabled that they were drawing Social Security benefits. And hey, that's 75,000 potential customers for the gun industry. So as Joan McCarter writes over at Daily Kos, the Senate voted on February 15th, 57-43 to get rid of the rule. Trump signed it on February 28th. So now crazy people, or people who are so severely mentally disabled that they can't work, and they have jumped through all the hoops necessary to prove that disability so they qualify for Social Security disability, are able to buy all the guns they want since February. Where is there any actual accountability here? Oh, it's all about the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment was passed for two reasons. Two principal reasons. I've got a piece up on Alternet about this right now. You can read it at alternet.org. The Second Amendment was passed for two reasons. The first reason, which was the original purpose of, why it was there and the whole conversation, and this was a conversation that started in correspondence between James Madison and Thomas Jefferson, and you can read it in the historical record in 1787-88, that Jefferson was strongly of the opinion that when the country was at peace, there should not be a standing army, because standing armies lead to military coups and they overthrow democracies. And Madison was, okay, we'll do that. We'll put that in. But if you're not going to have a standing army, you're going to have a militia. You're going to have every person be a member of the army, even when it's not, when they're not marching around in uniform. You're going to have to do it the way that Switzerland has done it for hundreds of years. And they were all like, yeah, of course. That's what we're going to do. So that was reason number one, was not to have standing armies during times of war. And Jefferson, when Jefferson became president in 1800 or 1801, there were over 300,000 men in the military, and he reduced that down to like 6,000, which was ultimately not a good thing when it came to the War of 1812, but it's a whole nother story. But here we have these mass shootings, almost always committed by angry white men, by the way. Somehow I suspect there's not going to be a big discussion in the media about what is it about angry white men that they're always shooting people, places up and things like that. We've got this from Jen Hayden over at Daily Kos. 91 people a day are killed by guns in the United States. 91 people a day. Now, people are calling this the worst gun massacre in American history. I would say that's probably not true. In fact, I would say that's almost certainly not true. It's the worst massacre of white people by white people in this country, arguably, outside of any specific, setting aside the Civil War and things like that. But white people have been massacring people of color, particularly Native Americans, from the get-go. And they've killed a hell of a lot more of them than this, 58 dead and 500 wounded at Mandalay Bay. So let's keep this in perspective. At a certain level, the chickens essentially are coming home to roost from our promoting this gun culture, this Wild West mentality, this you're not safe if you don't have a gun. And yet, we're not safe because of all the guns. And, there should be the ability to just kind of put two and two together here and figure out what's going on. I'd say it's time for us to either reinterpret, as the Supreme Court did in the Heller case, when they did it the wrong way, either reinterpret the Second Amendment or repeal it.